how you doing? I hope you're doing awesome, cause I am. I am finally getting to paint these misty, winter, ghosty like looking sceneries that I have been dying to paint for so long. This is the first video that I will try to explain what I'm doing, more like a tutorial, so I'm hoping this turns out good and it's helpful to you. So yeah, I think we can get started. I will be using cold pressed watercolor paper in A5 size and the Lyviaki Gansai watercolor set. Firstly, of course, I taped down my paper on the desk so you actually can see me paint straight and not have to flip around all the time and rotate the paper that I'm usually doing when I'm not filming, and I know that this doesn't help you a lot to watch the video, so yeah, I'm taping the paper down on the desk for this reason, but also to create clean borders whenever I'm finished, and you know, the whole feeling satisfaction that you get when you take off these tapes and you see the clean line between the paper and the drawing, and everything feels so magical. So yeah, let's be honest, I don't mind about the weird rotation of the video, but mostly about actually having my glorious peeling moment. Anyway, yes, the painting. Well, the watercolor palette I'm using for the first one, because I haven't mentioned, but we are doing two watercolor paintings in this video, a more cold toned and one that has more warm tones. The first one, the cold toned one, will also be a tiny bit easier to recreate. I will not have too much detail added on it, and generally you see that it's more like a warm-up painting, and then I went to the second one that I added a lot more detail since I was feeling a lot more experienced with what I was doing. For the color palette for the first one, I just grabbed the greens that had a little bit of blue in them and the blue that had a little bit of green in them. I hope that makes sense. In the Lyviaki palette, these are the numbers like 56, 57, 67, and then of course a little bit of deep brown like 47 and a bit of black to make the more depthy looking parts. And since I wanted everything to be a bit muted, I also added a yellow ochre in almost all my mixes. And the reason you see me grabbing my colors out of the palette and putting them by my side is that I feel less stressed and everything is a lot clearer when I have a few colors and not just the whole palette in front of me. Usually it helps a lot to have a color theme in my mind, and that's why I just don't want to see other colors that have nothing to do with my goal. So to start off, I needed to create my first background color, a very soft color, so I worked wet on wet. I used a thin layer of water to cover the whole page, and then I started adding my colors to create a faded kind of ombre looking sky. And then I slowly started to build up the forest part. For this painting, I mostly used vertical lines that kind of represented trees or just a shape of something that might look like a forest in the end. So that's all that I kept doing. I added thin lines of color over and over again, slowly building up the intensity. And the more detailed I wanted the image to be, the less water I added, so my details were crisp and not faded. Of course, sometimes I had to wait a bit longer for each layer to dry, because whenever you want to add details, you have to be sure that your previous layer is all dried out and it won't smudge or let your colors bleed, because then you won't have crisp details. And because of course I am impatient and my battery would not last me long enough, I used my hair blow dryer to dry the painting much faster. After I was kind of satisfied with the trees and how the forest was looking, I then of course moved on to adding a bit more details, and mostly on the corners of the page to give some more depth and of course kind of hug the whole painting. This is also a very nice way to cover your mistakes, because I kind of use a bit too much water on some parts on the lower part of the painting, and I didn't really like how they were looking, so I just thought, you know, I will just add some more black parts there and kind of look kind of make them look like they are bushes or grass or maybe some dust, stuff like that, to just make some spots prettier. And of course, to make it even more intense with the whole misty, dusty kind of look I was going for, I added some splashes and some little dot, you know, just shaking the brushes on top of my painting and let it do whatever it wanted. But I covered the clean part of the sky with a cloth because I didn't want it to get dirty or have any big black spots. I wanted it to be soft and faded because I wanted to add little birds as a small detail. So yeah, that was it for the first one. I think that it turned out really nice, and I'm sure many of you can recreate it, so please try it out and let me know. It always feels so amazing seeing your artworks and paintings, so please just tag me on Instagram. You can find me at Kalliopi Lyviaki or at Lyviaki, and just let me see what you're doing. I would love to. And finally, let's just enjoy this peeling moment. And now moving on to the second one. I am so excited about this one. I mean, my Instagram page has been flooded with Charlotte Little Wolf work. She is an amazing photographer, and this image of her has just stuck on my mind, and I want to try to kind of paint it. You can see even from the photo that the tones are a lot more yellow and brown and not cold looking at all, so that's why I changed my watercolor palette. I mean the color palette, not the watercolors. And I went for greens that were a lot more greeny olive looking. In the Kuretake palette, these colors were 44, 54, 58, and of course then again brown and black. Again, the first part of the painting is very similar to the first painting we already did, and I'm talking about the wet and wet part, that I am laying down a very thin layer of water to create a very blended and smooth transition of my sky and the ground. And then I quickly move forward to the first forest lines, and the big hit about this image is contrast. So I knew from the very start that I had to use a very dark color, almost black, and of course also leave those very white moments to create this feeling. So yeah, that's basically what you see me do right now. I'm creating the trees with the ombre of dark brown to almost black, going up to a green, yellowish kind of color. What is important in this stage is to let small parts empty as you build up the layers, because these parts are the ones that are going to give the texture and the forest look. But everything was too crisp for me. I didn't exactly have the faded kind of look that I wanted. The painting didn't really bring the mist look, so I just went with a wet brush and just brushed everything together to kind of make them blurred, and then repainted the trees again with the same thought and technique in my mind. And as the painting was coming together, I then started to add even more details, more little thin lines. And of course, for the end, I left the most vibrant tree that was in the front of the scenery that had a lot of yellow. So I waited for everything to dry out to be able to add those vibrant yellow parts. I hope my explaining is okay, because I keep trying to think of words and the right way to explain something, but the same words keep coming to my mind. So I just hope you kind of understand what I'm doing. I mean, you can also see the video, but you know, sometimes words can help, sometimes words might not be so helpful. So in general, I hope the result is helpful. And again, to create those dusty looking feeling, I added this time white small splashes, but this time I didn't mind if it went to the sky. I mean, I wanted it to go to the whole image, so I just start tapping my brush. And yeah, we have one more peeling footage. Am I the only one who is getting so excited about this? And since I love creating these paintings, but I also just really don't like to see them sitting around in a dusty desk inside some bookshelf or whatever, if any of you want to give home to this painting, it would mean so much to me. So it will be available in my Etsy shop. I will have the link down below. Thank you so much for being here for another video. I really hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. So yeah, if you did, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. It helps so much. That was it. So till next time, have a super duper day. Bye!